Yeah. See, we have discussed about SQL Server deployment, right? So either it may be UAT or production. We'll just create the scripts and then we'll just ask the DBA team to create it on the UAT or production. Why? Because being a developer, will not be having access to those servers. We'll be having only to the development server where we'll develop the code, right? And the same SSIS packages also we need to deploy, right? So the deployment, how you'll do is, so we have few types of deployment in SSIS, right? So we have file system deployment and then SQL Server deployment, and we have I think catalog, right? And register entry. There is few more, but you can say in your project you have used the file system deployment, but you have to learn at least two things. See what happens, and here when we connect it, click on the DB here, you can see the database engine, right? And you can also see integration services, right? So when you do a SQL Server deployment here, and all the packages will store under the SSIS DB under integration services here in the SQL Server. You need to connect to integration services, and for that we need to create an instance name here. See, we don't have, ours is a free edition, so we don't get that service here, and we cannot show you that. And so by using SQL Server deployment, the SSIS packages will store in the SSIS DB. Okay, so that's what you can say, but you can say like, in my project I have used only the file system deployment. Okay, and you can say this kind of deployments, but you can explain this too. Okay, but in my project I have used only file system deployment, you can say. So file system deployment is nothing but deploying a packages in a folder, that's it, right? So we'll create a specific folder for deployment. It will be a shared folder in the sense I told you, right? / SSIS deployment. So there will be a deployment folder in real time already project in your project. It will be like /. So it is a shared folder where everyone can access it. And what you will do, you'll just take the copy of the package. So once you are done with the development, you'll just take the copy of the package. And how to copy the package, guys? Directly you can just right click on the top here and then open containing folder, and it will take you to the wherever you have saved your solution packages, right? So copy the SSIS package and then deploy it into deployment folder. Okay, assume this is development. Okay, assume this folder is a development folder, I mean dev server folder. See, there will be different folders for each environment. So for UAT it will be different, and for production it will be different link here, the shared folder, right? So now you deploy it to production, I mean development server. Now if you want to move to UAT server, what and all you need to change in the package, guys? What are the things you need to change in package when you want to deploy to UAT server? What you need to change it? Think careful and answer. Not getting? See, the first thing you have to think about the connection managers, right? Everyone, see, we are running a package in dev mains. We have to use the dev server here, correct? If you are using the package, if you are running the package in UAT, you need to use the UAT server, right? Agree? So you need to change the server names here in SSIS packages before you deploy to the UAT server, the package. Let's assume this is the one package which you want to move it to UAT server. So how many connections we have here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then 7. So always, do you think you need to modify these connection managers and deploy into UAT? Do you think that is the better process, guys? See, when you deploy package from development, see here, assume this is a development server name, right? So when you want to move the package to UAT server or UAT deployment, you want to do it. How can you do that? So you need to change all the server names here in the connection managers to UAT server. Why? Because if you give the server name and if you run the package in UAT, it will load to dev server only data. Why? Because the server name is pointed to the dev server. So you need to change the server names here in the SSIS connection manager when you want to deploy it to the UAT server, SSIS packages, right? So if let's say your connection manager is having some 10 connection managers, so you need to change the 10 times, right? So you need to open all the connection manager and you have to change the server name and open this again, change the server name, right? And let's say tomorrow again, if you want to make some changes in the dev server, and again, once you made it all, do changes in the dev server, and again, when you deploy to package to the UAT, and again, you need to change all these 10 connection managers manually, right? So it will be a tedious process for you. So time taking and also very lengthy process, right? So to avoid that, when you deploy a package to multiple environments, we have a concept called configuration. Configuration. Okay. Configuration in SSIS. So for that, what you need to use, and I'll tell you what is the purpose of configuration. So to get the configuration option, so try to right click and check it whether you have that option or not. Do we have it? Configuration? No, right? And let me check on the SSIS. Do I have the configuration option? No. So you have to click on the control flow design anywhere and then go to properties. And in the properties, you can see the configuration option. Come down, see, you can see option called configurations. So click on the dotted lines there. And then there is a checkbox here, enable package configuration and click on add here. Once you enable that, you'll get the option to add it, add and click on next. And here you can see multiple configuration types, right? I think the register entry is not the deployment method. So that's what I was thinking. You can say only these three guys, the deployment part, and then the register entry will comes for configuration types. Okay. So these are the configuration types you should remember, but you can say I have used XML configuration here in my project. Why? Because it is easy to edit the values. I'll tell you why it is easy, right? So by default configuration type also is XML. Okay. And you have to remember at least 2 to 3 XML configuration, SQL Server, and then environment variable. You can say at least 2 to 3 you have to tell in interview how many types of configuration is there, means you have to remember at least 2 to 3 options here, and also a deployment 2 to 3 options, and also the for each loop container enumerators are there, right? So there also you need to remember at least 2 to 3 options, right? So choose XML configuration here. Okay. And now specify configuration settings directly, configuration file, where you want to save this configuration file, right? So I'll just use October 2021 SSIS, and then my package is there, right? So I want to store it here in the same folder, and I'll just use my config file name, configuration file. Okay, save, click on next. This is the main part here, guys. Try to understand clearly. And see, always you need to concentrate on the connection manager names. Okay, here you can see option called connection managers. Expand that. See, you can see all the connection manager details here. And if you open the, you can see in the package also same connection manager names. You can see it. See, -PC April. All right. So all the connection manager details you can see it here. And what you need to select is expand each and every connection manager, and you can see variables and then properties. Expand the properties. You can see a connection string option. Only select that connection string option and expand properties. Use connection string. Each and every connection manager you have to choose that properties, connection string, right? And same thing you have to do for rest all connection managers. Properties, connection string, expand, properties, connection string. Rest all you can leave it. Only select connection strings. Okay. And connection string. Right. So click on next. Finish. Configuration file is created. So what is configuration is about is nothing but it will just contains the package connection manager details. Okay, that is what the connection manager details will holds. Just a second, guys, I'm getting a call. Yeah, so configuration file is created and the configuration file contains the connection manager details. So let's go to that path, October 2021 SSIS, my first package. You can see the configuration file here. Wherever you stored, I have stored here. And if you open the configuration file, so it is something like this. This is the XML what's in the form of tags, right? So now whatever I have told initially, XML configuration file is easy to edit. So can you agree with that? So this is a text file. It is in the form of XML tags, and it is easy to edit. Why? Because so you can see a server names here, data source. Can you see it? Deno-PC, and you can see the database names as well, right? So what you will do in real time is you will just change the server names and then database names here directly. Wherever the server name is there, we'll just change it. So if you want to move this to UAT server, you will just change this one to UAT here, and you will just change wherever it is there, UAT. That's it. And you save this one. You will save it and you will maintain this one file as a UAT. That's it. And then I'll just save it wherever Lenovo-PC is there. I'll just change it to UAT, which means this is the UAT configuration file, right? So change wherever Lenovo-PC, my server name is there, change it to UAT configuration and then save a copy of it. Save as, and here only I'll just use my UAT config, my config underscore UAT I'll use. Okay, so now I have two configuration files, one for dev and another for UAT. And now when I want to deploy a package, and I'll just point that connection, I'll just point that package configuration. So can you see here, if I right click, there is an option called package configurations now. So for the first time, if you haven't created a package configurations, you won't get that option here itself. You have to go to the properties. Once you create a package is having configurations, if you right click, straight away you can see that option. So now what happens, here you can just edit it, click on next, and you can just use the configuration location stored in my, sorry, this is another option. You can just replace the file. Choose the UAT one. Types as all files. You can see the UAT. Click on next, next, finish. That's it. We have pointed the UAT configuration file. So now your package connections will get, see what happens, when you create a configuration file, the package will utilize the connection managers from configuration file instead of the connection manager here. When you execute a package, the package will get the information from configuration file. Clear, guys? And this is optional, and few companies will use it or few companies doesn't use. they'll do it in the scheduler level only. I'll tell you what is scheduler in the next class. Okay, everybody clear with configuration and then deployment? So when you're deploying the package to UAT, you will just copy the package and then deploy it to UAT folder. Let's say SSIS is there, right? October 2021 SSIS deployment. Let's say I've created a folder within it called UAT. Assume this is a different folder, and then you will just paste the package here in the UAT server, right? And then there also you will maintain configuration file, UAT configuration file in the same folder. If you wanted, you can copy it and then paste it over there. Okay, and while creating a job, we'll just point it from here. Okay, I'll tell you how to create a job. And guys, please try to check everyone is having the SQL Server agent here in the SQL Server. This one at the bottom you can see SQL Server agent option. So check whether you have it or not. Okay. Any questions? Yeah. So configuration is done, deployment is done, and guys, can you go on mute? And then the next topic I want to explain is maybe the jobs. Guys, did I explain you about event handlers?
No.
No? Okay. See, what does event handlers? Let me explain event handlers. Okay. So event handlers is nothing but, see, whenever any event occurs on the control, let's discuss about event handlers. So event handlers is nothing but whenever any event occurs in the control flow, and if you want to handle it other way, you can use it in the event handlers, which means, see, in the event handlers tab, you can see two options. One is executables and the other one is event handlers. See, in the executables, you can see all the tasks in the control flow level, right? You can see it all the tasks in the control flow level. So if any task fails, if you want to run alternatively here, you can run it, or the whole control flow, if you want to use it, you can also use that one, right? So for now, let me use a send mail task alternative method here. Okay, let's say if any send mail task fails here, I'm selecting a send mail task specifically, and if that fails, see, in the event handler you can see an option called on error, on pre-execute, on task fail. These are the different events the event handlers can handle it, right? On error and on task fail. Majorly we'll use on error. If any error occurs on this task, what you want to run alternatively here, you can use it. That's it. So you need to click on that and you can use any alternative task. Let's say I want, if that fails, I'll just show you the how to execute. That's it. So there is no specific reason I'm showing here. If let's say this task fails here and I just want to run any alternative method, so that is what I'm doing in the event handlers. I have, if this task fails, I'm executing here in event handlers tab the other task. So that is what I thought to show you. Let's say I'm executing a package. Okay, this is a validation error. So let me give delay validation to true so that the package will get executed. See, these two tasks ran fine. And if this task get fails, I'm handing this failure in the event handler. Can you see here? This task ran fine. All right. So event handler is nothing but whenever any event occurs in the control flow, that event may be whatever you choose here, event handler, on error, on pre-execute, on post-execute. If any error occurs, if you select the event as event on error, if any error occurs to this task in the control flow, the alternative task which we have implemented here, that will get executed, right? So mostly we'll not use this option, but I'm just telling you, okay? And why? Because if any error occurs here, directly we can use the red arrow mark here, right? The precedent constraint. But we have an option, that's why I'm telling. So we can just give like this on failure, right? So this way also we can achieve. So in interview, there might be a question, how will you handle any errors in SSIS? If any error occurs, how do you handle it? So maybe you can say, I'll use the event handlers to run the alternative method or to send out an email to the specified users, right? Here we can also use sendmail task. See, since I have used here sendmail task, I did not use it. Let's say for this task, if any error occurs, if I want to see, I have selected here in the control flow that task, and then I go to event handler, and any error occurs, if I want to use sendmail task, I can use it. I can drag and configure it, right? So either way we can use. If any task within the tasks or containers within the control flow fails, if you want to use any other alternative method, you can use it in the event handlers. Either that may be a sendmail task or loading a data using another task, either data flow task or execute SQL task. Okay, that is what the event handlers means. And guys, in the next class, I think that's it for today. I don't want to overburden you today itself. And we have logging concept pending and checkpoints, jobs, and what else? Maybe performance tuning in SSIS. And also logging, checkpoints, jobs, performance tuning in SSIS, and maybe transactions. Okay, and yeah, these are the few topics pending, and we'll try to cover this tomorrow, or if it is pending, we'll discuss on Monday. Okay, guys, tomorrow we'll have class now, or do you have any concerns? Okay, so tomorrow also we'll have class at 6:30. Okay, let's connect tomorrow at 6:30 p.m. Thanks guys, thanks for joining, and try to practice it. And yeah, by tomorrow mostly we'll finish SSS, or maybe on Monday. Okay, so yeah, prepare well, and if you have any concerns, please let me know. Okay, yeah, thanks for joining, we'll connect tomorrow.